Executive Director of Texas Alliance for Life, and I'm here at the John Paul II Life Center in Austin, Texas. Actually, it's the St. John Paul II Life Center in Austin, Texas. It's a wonderful pro-life pregnancy resource center provides tremendous services, including obstetrics gynecology practice with 2 physicians on staff. I'm here with a very special guest, and she is Dr. Donna Harrison. Dr. Harrison is the Executive Director of the American Association of Pro-Life Obstetricians and Gynecologists, a wonderful pro-life organization. Dr. Harrison, welcome. Tell us about your background and about your organization.
Thank you, Joe. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm a board-certified obstetrician gynecologist, and I've been the executive director since 2013 of the American Association of Pro-Life Obstetricians and Gynecologists. And what we do is we serve our members by equipping them to talk about what the medical evidence is for abortion's effect on women. Because we know abortion affects women, and it affects them primarily in 3 ways. It increases the risk of preterm birth. In women who abort and delay pregnancy, it increases their risk of breast cancer. And in women who abort even unwanted, unplanned pregnancies, it increases their risk of suicide, drug abuse, and hospitalizable major depression, as compared to women who give birth to unwanted, unplanned pregnancies. So this is information that our members need to know to be able to defend both of their patients, both the pregnant woman and her unborn child.
Wow, that's very interesting. You are involved in public affairs. I know you've been to Texas to advocate for some of the pro-life bills in the past. Do you is the part of the mission of your organization to help guide and advocate for pro-life bills in the state and in the Congress?
That's a great question. We're a 501c3, so we don't do any advocacy or lobbying, but what we do is we educate, and we educate with what the medical profession, what the research actually shows about abortion's effect on women. So we educate our members, but we also educate members of Congress, we educate legislators, so that they understand that abortion is really bad for women. It's not the panacea. It's not what is presented as empowering for women. It's actually degrading for women. And we don't advocate, but we educate members to understand these are the effects in the medical literature about what abortion does to women.
I know the abortion industry and their advocates in the public square have been trying to chip away and eliminate conscience protections for pro-life physicians and medical people in general. Tell us about that and what you're doing to counter that, because that is so critically important.
Well, we believe that medical professionals should have a choice as to whether or not they participate in a life-destroying procedure like abortion. So abortion destroys one of our patients. And as Hippocratic physicians, as physicians who adhere to the Hippocratic Oath, we don't think that killing human beings is part of medical practice at all, whether it's at the beginning of life or at the end of life. That was actually a major tenet of the Hippocratic Oath. But there's been a push in the last 40 years to eliminate doctors taking the Hippocratic Oath. And the Hippocratic Oath is actually central. It forms the doctor-patient relationship. It's why I can say to you, Joe, I'm not going to kill you, because I've taken that oath, and I don't use death as a therapeutic means in medicine. So it's important that doctors know about the Hippocratic Oath. It's even more important that patients ask their doctor, Dr. Smith, did you take the Hippocratic Oath? You did. Where is it on your wall? Can you show me which oath you've taken? Because there have been a lot of oaths created which say things like, I vow to save the planet, or I vow to use medical resources well. None of those are the Hippocratic Oath. The Hippocratic Oath forms a special fiduciary responsibility of the doctor to his or her patient, and that means I won't kill that patient or suggest it.
I imagine part of your view is which is part of the pro-life movement, is that when you're treating a pregnant woman, you have 2 patients, the mother and the unborn child, 2 separate patients.
That's right, and every obstetrician knows this. In fact, most people know this because we're texting the ultrasound pictures of our 5-week babies to our friends. So 6-week babies, 8 weeks, you can see the hands and the body parts. It becomes much easier. So people know that there is another human being inside. And it's important that we as OB-GYNs defend both of our patients. Because the unborn child is one of our patients, and we value their life and their human dignity just as we value the human dignity of their mother.
Dr. Harrison, I know you have members of your organizations who are practicing medicine here in Texas, but it's not just for what the education you do is not just for physicians, correct? I mean, for general public. So how can the public learn more about your organization, and how can they support your organization?
Well, thank you for asking that. We have a wonderful website, the American Association of ProLife OB-GYNs. If you Google that or just Google ProLife OB-GYNs, our website address is www.AAPLOG for American Association of ProLife OB-GYNs. And on there we have some wonderful practice bulletins, committee opinions, policy statements that people can read to understand this is a life issue that affects everyone. And everyone should be informed about the importance of treating both the mother and her unborn child as patients with human dignity.
Dr. Donna Harrison with the American Association of Pro-Life Obstetricians and Gynecologists, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you well in your very important work.